Okay, students, what we're going to do right now is learn to work our calculator. We're going to use a TI-83 plus as our first example because most of you will have a TI-83 or 84 plus models because they are the most common of the graphers. Now we're going to be using page 22 as an example to work our calculator. It's example 3.5, and we want to be able to find the mean and the variance of a data set. Now I showed you in a video lecture as well as in class lecture how to find these things by hand, but the calculator can do it all for you, and it makes it quite simple. So here we go on how to work the calculator. What you want to do is you want to, of course, turn your calculator on with the on button. So locate it, turn it on. You'll have this blinking cursor here that is waiting for you to tell it to do stuff. It means that it's on and it's ready and it's waiting. Now what we want to do is we want to go to the statistics menu, and that is our stat key. So I'm going to press the stat key. It is right below the delete key. Alright, now you want to go to edit because we need to tell it some data. So we'll go to edit, and as you can see, this student already has some data in here. I'm going to scroll over to list 1. I prefer list 1. You can pick any list you want. I just generally suggest having kind of a favorite list and always sticking with it, and I suggest list 1 because it's right there and it's pretty easy. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to select list 1. I want to get rid of her data that she has stored in there currently, so I'm going to clear it and press enter. And that cleared out all the data set. Again, I just selected list 1, I hit the clear button and then the enter key. Okay, now I'm going to enter this data set on example 3.5 into the calculator, these numbers. The first number is 12, so I enter 12 and then I hit the enter key so that the calculator saves that data point. Then I go to the next number, 32. I hit enter. 23, enter. 15, enter. 16, enter. 21, enter. 20, enter. 17, enter. And 18, enter. Okay, now the data set is entered, and what I like about the graphers is you can look at the data to make sure that you're not missing anything, whereas in cheaper calculators that don't have the graphical display screen, it's hard to go back and look at your data set for errors. Now FYI, this student has her calculator with a float of, it looks like a float of 3, or no, I think it's a float of 4 on here. But that's why she has these trailing zeros. It just depends on what your float's set on. But don't worry, that doesn't affect anything for those of you who are panicking, because you have a 15.00 and not a 15. They're the same number, right? Okay. So once you get your data entered, you want to do some calculations. So what you're going to do is go to your stat key again, and then it brings up the statistics menu. I've already edited the data. I've put it in there. I'm ready to do some calculations. So I scroll over with the arrow key and highlight the calc option. Okay, now we want some simple statistics, and so we're going to be using one var stats. That means one variable, statistics. We've got one variable because we only had one data set. So we're going to select one var stats, and you can do it two ways. You could press 1 and then enter, or you can just press enter because it is already highlighted on 1. So let's press enter. And now you should see one var stats, and the cursor is blinking at us. It's saying, okay, I understand you want to do that, but I need a little bit more information from you, please. And what he's wanting us to tell him is he's wanting to know, where is your data set located? Where did you put your data? Well, we put our data, or at least I put my data, into list 1. Now if you go down here and you look at the orangey yellow letters above the number keys, you'll see a lot of different things. You'll notice that they have L1, L2, L3 above the number keys 1, 2, and 3. We want list 1, so we're going to press the second key because the letters that we want are in the orangey yellow, and the second key is the orangey yellow key. Different calculators might use different colors, but we're going to press second, L1, and now you can see that our calculator says, okay, 1VAR_stats L1, now what? And you say, well, now I'm ready to enter. So you press the enter key, and it gives you all this really cool information. It gives you X bar, that is the mean, 19.333. Again, the student has a float of 4 turned on. You could turn down your float, or you could turn up your float. Personally, I like a float of 4 for statistics. It gives you the sum of the x's. We used that in calculating the mean and the variance. It gives you the sum of the x squareds. That was used in the formula for the variance. Now we don't need any of that when we use our calculator. All we need is the mean, x bar. So I'm going to go ahead and write that guy down on my paper here. I'm going to say, well, you wanted the mean. If I can get my marker to work, the mean was 19.3333. I write down everything my calculator has. That's the mean. Okay. And you wanted the variance. Well, now the calculator doesn't give you the variance, but it does give you the standard deviation. And the standard deviation, this is really important, is Sx in your calculator. So I'm going to write down Sx here. Sx equals, mine is saying 5.7879. Now that's our standard deviation, okay? And that is an S and not a 5, I know. It looks so terrible. Okay, so it gives you Sx, that is the standard deviation. And we can square that ourselves to find the mean, but let's see, just FY, what else your calculator will give you. It'll give you the sigma x. Don't ever look at that or use that for this class, please. Ignore that. It gives you n was 9, there were 9 data points, I hope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, good. It gives you the minimum was 12. It gives you Q1, quartile 1. You might have talked about that, and if you haven't, then we definitely will if you're watching this before we got to box and whiskers, but we use that for box and whiskers. It gives you the median. We talked about the median. It's also quartile 2. It gives you quartile 3, sorry, there's a glare. And it gives you the maximum. So it gives you all kinds of cool information in 1VAR_stats. But let's get back to calculating the variance. Okay, now once you've got the standard deviation written down, you want to simply square this number to find the variance. Okay, so I need to square this number. Well, how do you do that in your calculator? Well, I'm going to get rid of all this stuff because I no longer need it. And I'm going to enter the standard deviation given, 5.7879, and I'm going to square it. Now you can use this caret key and a number 2, or most calculators have a quick squared key, which is x to the second power. I'm going to press that, and when I do, you can see it has a little 2 exponent hanging there. It's ready to be squared. I hit enter. Now I have the variance, 33.4998. So let's write that down. S squared equals 33.499, sorry about that, 8. And that is the variance. So when I ask you on the exam for the mean and the variance, give me x bar, give me s squared. Do not just write down sx, okay? Because you will get it wrong when I ask for the variance. This is the standard deviation, students, not the variance. You've got to square it to find the variance, okay? There's also there's a web link for doing the grouped data with your calculator. So if you need to do that for any reason, it's there, okay?